Welcome back, everybody. Today we are taking a look at one of the craziest builds, possibly, honestly, my strongest build that I have in all of Darktide currently, which is the melee vet build, the weapon specialist vet build. So I'm going to take you through the weapon, or no, we're starting with the talent tree, actually. This is a new thing. We start with the talent tree now, and we have the weapons and then the curios. Those will be time-stamped down below, so you can do that little slider bar action to get around there. If you like the video, it means a whole lot. We like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Leave your comments down below. I'll also pin the best build recommendations down below, so either you have like a build idea for me or you have recommendations to change to this build. I'll pin that down below, so if anybody has any other thoughts, leave them down below and I'll pin the best one that I see. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and hop into the build guide video. We'll start with the talent tree. I'll try and get through this guy a little bit faster. This is actually the second time I've recorded this video, because the first time it recorded all the audio on my webcam mic and it sounded like I was shouting at you from across the entire bedroom. Well, actually, I'm in a living room, not a bedroom. Anyways, moving on. That does not matter. This is the autogun power sword build. Now, I really wanted to focus on using the power sword in this build. However, we use the Columnus autogun a lot, and this is honestly just another version of the Columnus autogun build that you might have seen on my channel already before. However, we're not using the pinging ability that the veteran likes to use a lot. We're actually this time using the weapon specialist, which is insanely powerful as well. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. There's a lot of modifications you can make to this build tree. Absolutely. There's definitely some free points that you can put around wherever you want them to be, wherever your favorite parts are. So we'll go ahead and just get into what I have. So I am running this middle column here. I'm using close order drill, confirmed kill, stamina boost, and toughness boost. And this is just to give us some good toughness and teammate help as well. However, you can absolutely take charismatic. I really like having charismatic on this build, and in fact I was running it for a long time, but I ran a really hard maelstrom and I changed up the build a little bit to get better through the maelstrom. But having this increased aura radius is really nice for your teammates, especially since we're using I always use it commanding shout, but voice of command. I use the voice command a lot in this build, so having that increased aura radius allows you to put it your commanding shout onto more people around you at a higher distance. So maybe you accidentally miss sometimes you get that commanding shout on. Whatever. Anyways, other options for up here at the top of the tree. I stay away from the right side, but you can take long shot and exhilarating takedown, and honestly, you could just go long shot, exhilarating takedown, and health boost. Go through that path. That's if you're maybe using the auto gun a little bit more and at longer range. However, I don't really think that's worth it. I think taking this middle path right here is nice to have and a little bit different from what I usually use, so I like to do that. And we have 15 toughness. Here you can either take crack grenades or shredder frag grenades. Honestly, smoke grenades are kind of fun to use too every now and then, because you'll be in like melee combat and you'll be getting sniped at or something, or gunners are a problem. You can use those smoke grenades. However, I find that I don't get as much utility out of the smoke grenades when I need them in a pinch, and the grenades are really helpful for helping you when you need help in a pinch. So having the crack grenades or the shredder frag grenades, I would say, is definitely the way to go. Both are really great. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I've been really enjoying the shredder frag grenades, and I've tried to build this build into more of a grenade spamming build. So I would recommend the shredder frag grenades, especially because of some things that I'll show you later. So I take 5% range damage bonus and 5% health. That's great. 10% melee boost and the agile engagement. So the agile engagement, if you kill somebody with your ranged weapon, I know you can't see it, it's off the right of the screen, whoopsies. Anyways, plus 25% range damage if you kill an enemy with your melee attack, and then plus 25% melee damage if you kill an enemy with a ranged attack. So this gives you this kind of dynamic setup of you're whipping out your ranged weapon, getting kills, and you're whipping out your melee weapon, getting kills, and you keep chaining that into each other, and you've got like a constant 25% damage bonus up all the time, which is fantastic. And on top of that, we've got this 10% melee damage bonus as well, so that's an easy 35% damage bonus to your melee that you can keep up extremely consistently. Something that I really like to take here, especially since we're using the shredder frag grenades, is the grenade tinkerer. This gives you 25% more damage and radius to your frag grenade. Super useful. For crack grenades, I'd say it's kind of overkill, but you can definitely get some use out of it with crack grenades, taking out monstrosities that sometimes doesn't one shot, but I would definitely recommend not using it on the crack grenades. Let's see, then we get back into the fight. So I use this because it gives you stun immunity, and it's extremely useful, especially over catch of breath. 5% toughness per second when there's no enemies within 8 meters. Well, we are a melee-centered build, and so I think that taking this one is not that great. Same thing with this kill zone, no enemies within 8 meters. Well, we're a melee-centered, focused veteran, so we want to be within 8 meters. So that's kind of against our build philosophy at the current moment. And then we take Survivalist because it's an absolutely busted ability. Now we are using the Columbus Autogun. That thing sucks ammo like nothing. And so I use it. So using Survivalist is so helpful for your teammates as well as yourself. It keeps you ammoed up. There's so many times where if I get a little too excited, I'm using the Columbus Autogun, especially since I'm not running this 25% ammo. That I might run out of ammo, and when you run out of ammo on this build, that's particularly bad because if you're out of ammo, then you can't use your ranged weapon to activate your agile engagement. So having Survivalist is super helpful, especially if you're playing a mission that doesn't like have ammo drops or something. And in addition, Survivalist is just like at least twice as better as fire team and close kill. Close kill, 5% movement speed. That's pretty bad, and then 5% damage. I mean, it's a 5% damage boost. That's pretty minimal. I mean, that's really minimal. Anyways, so yeah, we take Survivalist because it's by far the best one. 5% reload speed, that's nice to have. And come over here to toughness damage reduction, and we take Demolition Stockpile because it's sick. Now, over here on the right, I don't think either of these are particularly great. Grenadiers is nice, but however, you have to use 2 points to get it, and you know, it's okay. And then we have Twin Blast here is also really fun to take. However, the problem is you can carry 3 grenades. Even if you could carry this grenade, if you took this Grenade Tinker or Grenadier and you had 4 grenades, it's still a 1 in 5 chance that you throw 2 grenades instead of 1, which it doesn't consume 2 grenades, it only consumes 1, which is nice. And it's fun when it activates. However, you carry 3 grenades, so the chances are if you throw all 3 of your grenades, you're not gonna activate your Twin Blast. So just very inconsistent, not very actively used passive ability or at all. Like there's other things that you can keep, like let's say agile engagement, super easy to have that up and used all the time. Just the use case of Twin Blast is so far in between and so inconsistent that I just don't like to take it. Then we get Voice of Command, and I think you could definitely come through Infiltrate or something over here maybe and do something cool with that. However, this build, I really love using Voice of Command because what we're going to do is take a lot of ability modifiers with that as well. So you take Voice of Command, this replenishes your toughness, then you get Take Duty of Honor, gives you an extra 50 toughness on top of the toughness that you already regenerated, so you get 50 over toughness, and this also gives it to all your teammates, and it's also super great for sticking reses. So I don't take Only in Death Does Duty In because it is so easy to revive your teammates with this build already, especially if you take maybe revive speed on your Curios, which is not a terrible idea. I'd like it. So if you use Voice of Command, and we also have these frag grenades, right? So you can throw a frag grenade on the ground. Honestly, just to stick a res, you can just throw 2 frag grenades on the ground and then stick the res. You'll probably be able to get it off. And if you think it's a really hairy situation, you can throw a grenade, Voice of Command, throw another grenade, or throw 2 grenades and a Voice of Command and then stick the res. You know, I just don't. This increases your cooldowns. It increases your ability cooldown by 50% as well. So I just skipped the Only in Death Does Duty End because you know it's really kind of superfluous because you can already just stick the res without even using the point really easily. 25% suppression dealt. That's nice. We are using the the Columbus autogun, and the suppression's kind of nice, but you know it's not a big deal. So we have 25% range, or 25. We have 5% more range damage. That's nice to have. And we really come over here for this precision strike. This is 30% weak spot damage, and as far as I'm aware, this is on any weapon. So our power sword is getting 30% weak spot damage, and you guys know if you've seen it in my other builds, I'm an absolute sucker for weak spot damage. So 30% weak spot damage. Fantastic. And this is also great for our Columbus autogun. Super fantastic. Now there are other points in this build where you can maybe shave off some points. Specifically, I've rolled heavy over into this weapon specialist tree for the last run that I did, but I'll show you guys some other combinations here in a second. And what I did is I would take Fully Loaded, which is nice to have that more 25% ammo. You can really go off with the Columbus then. And then you can either get Superiority Complex, which is just a solid damage bonus to all the enemies. That's nice to have. And you can also take Marksman, which is 10 seconds. Any weak spot hits gain 20% power. So that is melee or ranged hits, as far as I'm aware. So you get a 20% power bonus to that. However, after going through the build, I found that I don't think you really need this. However, you do notice it when you have this ability on, and we'll get into that because we have For the Emperor. If you have For the Emperor, Marksman, and Close Quarter Kill Zone, and you pop your Voice of Command, what you'll do is you'll have activated your melee weapon specialist, which gives you a 15% 15% attack speed bonus, which is essentially a 15% DPS bonus. And then you also get this 20% power bonus for 10 seconds to weak spot, plus this 10% base melee damage for 5 seconds, and then plus this 15% melee damage for 10 seconds. So you get a huge damage bonus, as well as we have this weak spot damage. So you will pop this, you'll like power up your power sword, and then there's just so many damage bonuses you get from there, because we probably have onslaught or slaughter or whatever it is for the power sword. Anything that gives us plus power or hit on kill. When we get to the weapons, you'll see that. And so you power up your power sword, you pop voice of command, you get all these bonuses, and whenever there's just a ginormous horde in front of you, it can be flak armored enemies, you know, any kind of enemies in front of you, just pop that, and you go in for the specialists. You go for the push attack stab with the power sword, will do incredible damage to even carapace armored targets, and you'll just chew through hordes. And with this build, with this current setup that I have exactly right now, my last game that I played, I dropped 1.1 million damage, which is an absolute insane amount of damage to play in a. It was in a Maelstrom high intensity, whatever, I don't remember, but it was an intense game, and the amount of just sustain in melee combat that this veteran had was incredible. So yeah, and I wasn't even using marksman, and if you wanted to roll into that popping voice command combo, which is really powerful and really fun, you can absolutely do that. Okay, let's get to this military. So yeah, you could spend the points to get through the fully loaded and marksman, and then I didn't really have enough points to use superiority complex, but you could do that if you really wanted to. This build is also really flexible on other weapons, and I'll try and talk about the other weapons when I get to the actual weapons section, but for right now we're using the Columnus autogun and the power sword are my favorite two to run. Then we have for the Emperor, 10% base melee and 10% range damage for, it's only for 5 seconds, so it's not the best. You could definitely argue that you want to take this off and maybe go for marksman instead. However, we do have to come through here anyways to get to tactical awareness, but maybe you want to take maybe some Born Leader instead. That could be a really nice boost for your teammates, especially if you're running Charismatic and Born Leader, or really good synergy with those two, since that'll help boost your coherency radius and it'll give your teammates more toughness, so that's really nice to have for your guys. But tactical awareness is absolutely key here, because you're taking out those specialist enemies. You're getting tons of cooldown reduction on your voice of command, which means you can pop your voice of command more often, which means you get this for the Emperor close quarters kill zone, and maybe marksman too if you go grab that a lot more often. It's all around cycling through this ability here makes you essentially unkillable, because you have basically infinite toughness, and then you also have ridiculous damage when you pop this infinite toughness thing, so you're just dishing out incredible amounts of damage. Now, you could maybe argue that you take off the range damage boost, take off the weak spot damage. I really like these two, so I definitely recommend keeping them. But you could definitely come through here and get like Iron Will, which will make you even more tankier. Another 25 toughness, so you're getting a huge tank boost here, but I found I didn't need it. But if you find your die a lot, maybe you could do that. And then you can take this Bring It Down Ogren, plus 20% damage to Ogrens and Monstrosities would be really nice to have on this build. Competitive Urge, even Rending Strikes, all these are good options to grab. However, I would recommend the way I have it set right now. And then, okay, so we get to our main column over here. So we have 5% melee damage, close quarters kill zone. I just find we're not rolling for crits on this build, and I don't have any problems running out of stamina, because we are running a plus 3 stamina Curio, so that's nice to have. 0.25 seconds stamina reduction delay. You know, I try to avoid this one. However, you have to come through this node to get to Onslaught, which I was skeptical on Onslaught. However, now that I've played an actual game with it, it makes the Columnus Mark V autogun an absolute monster at chewing through flak armored enemies. For carapace armored, I still don't notice that big of a difference. However, it does apply brittleness to those carapace armored enemies. Up to a significant amount. That's like up to like 40% brittleness essentially, but with all the stacks. But I find that Onslaught's fantastic for using your autogun to chew through flak armored enemies, so I really recommend it, especially since we probably take plus 25% flak armored enemy damage on our autogun. So Onslaught plus that combo really lets you chew through flak armored enemies, and that's really nice to have. But I have ran the build without it. I did run it with it on that Maelstrom, and I found that it helped a lot, so I'd really recommend using it. But there's also some other really fun things in this tree that you can use those points on, so maybe you take those two off if you find you're not struggling with flak armored enemies. However, it is one of the more powerful parts of this build in the talent tree that is up all the time. So then we take this 10% melee crit hit chance and 25% melee finesse bonus, and that is just a flat bonus. You know, we're not trying to roll into crit chance. But the problem is, you know, why do I have that selected? Melee crit hits apply 10% bonus to target. I don't think I'm supposed to really have this guy selected. So, you know, we could probably take off both of these and then put those 2 points somewhere else. Interesting. But I do like having this Desperado 10% melee crit hit chance is nice to have. I mean, it's a solid bonus and it's up all the time. But the 25% melee finesse bonus, and melee finesse bonus affects both your crit multiplier, which is nice to have a bonus too, and it also affects your attack speed slightly. So having that 25% attack speed bonus, it's not like 25% faster attack, it's 25% finesse, which affects your attack speed, so it's not like a one-to-one boost, but it is helpful to have to up your attack speed a little bit. I could definitely see you maybe not taking this one at all and going somewhere else and doing the talent tree this way. However, I just think Desperado is much better than the stamina regen boost delay. So maybe you take both of these off and you run through the tree this way and use these 3 extra points that I have now somewhere else. But you can absolutely run it through this way as well. 5% damage to all base damage for 5 seconds after sprinting. It's only 5 seconds, and I found you have to like sprint for 5 seconds to get that up. So I just found that this is too minimal of a boost to really rely on, and it's with sprinting. I don't recommend it. It was too inconsistent to really activate. So yeah. And then this exploit weakness, this helps you chew through flak armored enemies as well a little bit better in melee combat, and we are a melee centered vet, so that's nice to have. But we do have onslaught and exploit weakness, so I could definitely see you taking off Desperado and exploit weakness, using onslaught instead, or maybe taking off onslaught and using exploit weakness instead. And we really have to get down to this trench fire drill, which is another 10% melee attack speed. So when you pop your or when your weapon specialist is activated and you have trench fighter drill, then you have plus 25% base melee attack speed, right? Because you get 15 from weapon specialist and you get 10% from trench fighter drill, which lets you just absolutely chew through enemies. And of course you have your other melee weapon bonuses up, and you're just doing incredible amounts of damage with that. Okay, and then we have a weapon specialist is the key part of this build, and you absolutely have to take it. So gain range specialist on melee kills. This stacks up to 10 times, so you can get up to 10 kills with your melee weapon before you really want to switch out to your ranged weapon to get the full bonus from weapon specialist. And then it only stacks 1 time for melee specialist though, so you get 1 kill with your ranged weapon, and then you're good to switch out to your melee weapon and go to town with that again. And when you do this, so when you wield your ranged weapon, you activate range special, you get 2% range attack speed and 33% range crit hit chance on your next shot per stack lasts 5 seconds. So this 2% ranged attack speed is what I really noticed. However, I have noticed this crit chance can pop off sometimes as well. And you really want to have a fast firing, low damage per bullet weapon. And the idea with that is you're shooting out tons of bullets with high crit chance on those bullets, because you're shooting out more shots, so you're going to hit more crits, is kind of the way I like to think about it. But the real bonus is the range attack speed. So I try to stay away from semi-automatic weapons, because you can't really get the full benefit out of the attack speed bonus, because you have to spam your finger even that much faster and develop carpal tunnel even that much faster. But the 2% range attack speed is fantastic, and when you whip out the Clumness autogun and you have those attack speed bonuses up, which is 2% ranged attack speed, it can stack 10 times, so that's a 20% range attack speed bonus. So your 20% fire rate bonus on your Columnus autogun, you will absolutely notice that. I think another really fun weapon to run this on would be the V1D lasgun. However, I've noticed the V1D lasgun is just all around in every single way worse than the Columnus autogun, so I don't use it. However, if you want to, absolutely use it. And in fact, if you did do that, you could come down, you get this weapon specialist, you take onslaught, and you can get to this crit hits with lasguns, consume no ammo, use dead shot. There's definitely a way to try and bring back that original really high damage, really fun V1D lasgun build that was out after the year 1 update that they immediately nerfed and deleted for, I don't know why, they hate fun, the devs do or something. So yeah, that is the overall weapon specialist. Now we will get into the weapons themselves. The melee attack speed is 15%. You also get that 10% dodge speed and dodge distance when you have weapons, when melee weapon specialist is activated. That is super fantastic. I've noticed that in fact, the 10% dodge speed and dodge distance doesn't sound that huge. Absolutely helps a ton, especially in the veteran. It makes your dodging almost essentially just as good as a zealot dodging. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop over into the weapons now. Thank you guys for sticking with me on that one. Alrighty, if you're one of these people that skips straight to the weapons, you're in luck, because it is time to do the weapons now. We are going to start with the Munitorium Power Sword. Now, if you've seen my Power Sword or any of my builds, this is the exact same one I always use. We take flak armor damage and weak spot melee damage, and our most important modifiers are damage, cleave damage, and especially cleave targets on this build. However, you'll notice I have bad cleave targets. It's not, my cleave targets roll is not the greatest, and I still do absolutely just fine with this build. Finesse is really nice to have because that affects our attack speed, and we really want to have the highest attack speed we can have on this build. So honestly, damage, cleave damage, and maybe finesse are the ones that I like the most, just because I'm used to those. But cleave targets, super fantastic to have, and that's really important because we're not actually using our power sword attack all the time. We'll use the power sword attack, so we'll pop like our voice of command. We'll charge up our power sword before we pop voice of command, and we'll go to town on that melee with all the bonuses that we get from our voice of command. However, once that charge runs out and we have Slaughter stacking our power for so much after just chewing through a bunch of guys with 3 power sword swings, we have a ton of power and damage bonuses, and we just go to town with just normal swings because you actually don't really need to activate that power sword attack to get that damage bonus as well. So then we get, our perks are flak armored, and then when I take weak spot damage, we've already got another 30% weak spot damage from our talent tree, so this is 40% weak spot damage, which is a huge bonus. I really like to have that. However, you could absolutely drop this 10% melee weak spot damage and go for maniac damage instead, but I really like to have this weak spot damage, especially because with the push attack for the power sword, when you charge it, you get your charger special on the power sword, and you do the push stab attack to the head, you're getting a 40% bonus to the bonus damage that you get from that weak spot shot. So that's really nice to have. And then for blessings, you know, you absolutely have to have Power Cycler 4 or 3 or whatever you have. You know, if you don't have any of the Power Cyclers, just take a more power. Honestly, that's really rough. You won't be able to one-shot crushers and stuff without Power Cycler 4. Maybe you want to take like a chain sword or something instead for this build. Could actually be really fun as well. And that brings me to another point, or actually let's finish the blessings first. So then we have Slaughter, plus 7% power for 4.5 seconds on kill. I think this is the best blessing for that kind of thing, although I only have Slaughter 3, definitely want Slaughter 4. But anything that gives you plus power or damage on hit or kill is fantastic. And then that brings me to the melee point, okay, that I wanted to get to. So I'm using the Mark 6 power sword. You could use the other power sword, is just fine. In addition, I think the Mark III Combat Blade is probably actually the most meta weapon for this build, rolled for like crit and bleed, and you modify the talent tree a little bit for all the crit and bleed that you can find on the talent tree. For melee would be super fun to use. I tried the tactical axes and I found that they were not that good. I think the assault chainsword would be fantastic as well. And then the shovels, I don't really have any experience using the shovels, especially the new ones they've just added, but I have a feeling that those would be fairly good at this build as well, especially the high cleaving shovels. And let's see, is there anybody else that I really think would be a really good melee weapon? I don't think there's anything else that would be a really good melee weapon, but the power sword is just for me the most fun one, so that's what I use. Then we are on to the ranged weapon. If you've seen my Columnus autogun Mark V infantry autogun build before, this is the exact same one. We need high damage, high stopping power. A good roll for ammo is really nice because we use a gun that sucks ammo like nobody's business. Mobility really does not matter that much, and stability also does not really matter that much. And I have a mod that lets me put a red dot on my Columnus, or on any weapon in the game, but I have a Columnus Mark V autogun. I put a red dot on it, and it is so much more fun to use. So if you can install that weapon customization mod, I would definitely recommend it. As the iron sights suck on all the weapons in this game, and having a red dot just makes the game more enjoyable to play. And then we get to the blessings. You know, anything that gives you damage on hit or kill, stacking is great, or power on hit or kill, stacking is great. So Dum Dum is really good to stack up really fast, plus 6% close range damage on repeated hit. That's just 5 bullets, you've got that to max stacks. And then Fire Frenzy, gain 9% close damage for 3.5 seconds on killing enemy at close range, stacks 5 times. The Fire Frenzy stacks extremely well if you're conservative with your ammo. If you're just hip firing into hordes, you're going to notice this ability helping you out a lot less. If you're careful with your shots, this helps if you put on a mod that gives you a red dot as well. So, and you're going for weak spot shots, you can get like 10 kills on flak armored enemies out of 1 magazine, and you'll notice this nice 9% close range damage stacking 5 times, so that's like 45% damage bonus at max stacks for Fire Frenzy. You'll absolutely notice that coming through, and that's a really nice and consistent damage bonus to have. So I went over the melee weapons that had other variants that I thought would be really good. We'll go ahead and go over the ranged weapons that I think you could also use with this build that would be really good. So originally I wanted to try this build with las guns like the M1A las gun or the heavy las pistol that had ghost, and I really like that because you were able to use the ghost ability to keep yourself immune to range damage for a while fighting enemies in close range or closing the distance on ranged enemies. However, I just found that it was kind of inconsistent, and you also don't get that really sick bonus of the like plus 20% rate of fire on your ranged weapon. It's really hard to use that when you're using a semi-automatic weapon because you have to click really fast and you get carpal tunnel and your fingers get tired because you're clicking them the whole game. Yeah, anyway, so I stay away from the semi-automatic weapons. Altogether, I'd say hands down the best gun for this build is the Columbus Mark V Infantry Autogun, not the braced one. And honestly, you could probably use another autogun if you want to. I've honestly not used the other autoguns very much because this one's so busted. I haven't seen a reason to do it. But other things that I think would be really cool is if you rolled for ranged crit damage on a bolter, and then you also added some like reload speed in for your build somewhere in the talent tree. So you could whip out the bolter. Maybe you're just in melee a lot. You're really focusing on the melee, and you just want to bring the bolter to delete monstrosities and carapace armored like crushers from the screen. You could roll a crit chance fire rate bolter and whip that out and blow away the entire screen with decent reload speed. That could be really fun. You know, I guess even the plasma gun you could use it, but I wouldn't recommend that. You know, the combat shotgun, Hellbore las gun, I would stay away from those. And then the V1D las gun, I think this would be really fun. There's three type of the recon las guns that one shoots really slow, one shoots like medium, one shoots really fast. I would either do the medium or the really fast one. I'd stay away from the slow one, but maybe the slow one would be good for the bonuses also. Maybe it'd be shooting fast then or something, I don't know. I haven't tried it. I think the V1D recon las gun would be the most fun one to try with the you would take the onslaught, so you're getting brittleness on hit, and then you'd also try to go to the left side of the tree and get that crit hit apply or consume no ammo on the las gun, and you try to roll for this like crit hitting brittleness applying recon las gun. You know, when the year 1 update came out, there was a really strong build using that. It's not as strong as it used to be, which is a shame because it was really fun. Something else that would also be really fun to use is the Shredder auto pistol, just because it already shoots really fast and you get like a 20% speed bonus, attack speed bonus to the Shredder auto pistol. The attack speed would be ungodly and it would be absolutely hilarious. If you're a revolver vet boy, I guess you could use the revolver, but you're not going to be getting that attack speed bonus, so I think that would be kind of a waste of potential. And then honestly, probably other autoguns are really great to use as well. But yeah, that about does it for our weapons, and we'll go over the Curios really quick, and then we'll just have the gameplay at the end of the video. So if you guys are liking the content, you're still listening, like, comment, subscribe, super appreciated. On to the Curios. So for the Curios, we have my standard setup. We take a +3 stamina, and this is really important to have on the Curios for this build specifically because we're in melee combat a lot. So I take this +3 stamina, and I think the block efficiency is really good on this build as well. You'll see I have ordo dockets because I'm a broke boy and I'm making build guide videos, and I have to roll a crap ton of weapons to make decent builds. So I put ordo dockets on here, but if you're going for a peak performance build, the perks that you want to have on your character are probably... You cannot go wrong with either +5% health or +5% toughness on all your Curios, as well as gunner resistance on at least 1 or 2 of your Curios is an absolute necessity. Block efficiency and combat ability regeneration are also both extremely good. So if you put combat ability regen on all 3 of your Curios, I think that's like a 12% combat regen bonus in total. That would be super fantastic for your Curios. But using block efficiency is really good because we don't have a ton of stamina as a veteran, but using this +3 stamina Curio really helps us out in that department. So at least for me, when I'm playing, I don't find I really run out of stamina, except unless when I'm blocking. I don't really have problems blocking, so I think maybe you can stay away from the block efficiency and put something else on that. Then we have a plus health Curio and a plus toughness Curio. You know, I like to keep my Curios like combined, so if I have a plus health Curio for the blessing, I put the plus health perk on there as well. That way my health is contained into one Curio. That's like the ultra health Curio. And then, you know, I have toughness regeneration speed on here. It's locked on, and block efficiency is nice to have. That's good to have. But You know, this Curio is definitely not mid-max. I would definitely like to put maybe 5% toughness on instead of that toughness regeneration speed. That would be nice to do. Or gunner resistance, of course. And oh man, this last blessing, or this last Curio is kind of a mess. Corruption resistance. I'm not sure if it's the same one that you're seeing on my build guide video, but yeah, just roll a toughness Curio with the perks that I recommended just a second ago, and you can't go wrong. Curios are not the end of the world. So yeah, that is the build, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. You know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You can watch the remainder of the build guide right here. There's also the build guide is going to be linked down below, and the raw gameplay might be linked down below if I upload it, so you can watch it there if you just want to see me play this mission. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you next time.